It's really interesting. The more I've studied over the years of art, I just absolutely love history, love ancient civilizations. I've been to a bunch of sites in Mexico, went to Chichen Itza, went to Tulum, and you just sit there and in like Chichen Itza, you just sit there and you look at this awe-inspiring creation and how, hunter gatherers slash maybe some agricultural societies built something like that, which we would have trouble in today's world to even think about building something like that. In your experience from all your research over the years, this is a large conversation. This is a large question,
Sure.
but in ancient civilizations, it just seems that the technology was brought in from the Great Pyramids to and Kokopele, what's the new one? Not Kokopele, the one they just found in Turkey.
Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe, that Tepe,
Yeah.
that those kind of sites, which is now starting to rewrite history. We're like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
12,000 years ago, or 10,000, yeah, about 12,000 years ago, at the end of the last ice age, doesn't make any sense. Hunter gatherers couldn't just wake up one morning and build this stuff.
Sure. Sure.
So, what is your thoughts of? Did we kind of devolve, and we were once a little bit more advanced? I mean, if you look into the yugas and the concepts of in ancient Hindu scripts that talk about the cycles, the 24,000 year cycles, and that we were at a higher societal intellectual thing, and we start to devolve.
Sure.
Which, looking around us, we have devolved. But I'd just like to hear your thoughts on it.
Sure. Well, it's a big question. It's an
Yeah.
important question. So I'm just going to take about a half step back to give context to the question. There's a battle unfolding in our world right now that's playing out on many different levels. There is a battle for our beliefs,
Mhm.
what we believe about everything, what we believe about climate change, about pandemic, about 5G, about chemtrails, all those things.
Yeah.
There's a battle for our thoughts, and that battle is playing out every minute of every hour of every day through the news feeds of legacy media that are pushing us to embrace a way of thinking that supports very very specific agendas. There is a battle playing out in the classroom in terms of the textbooks and the teachings, who we are, where we come from, and this battle is all over what is called well, it's our story, the story of our past. But all of this, in my experience, in my opinion, uh, is providing cover for an even deeper battle. And there is literally a battle for our very humanness. Our humanness is on the line as advanced technologies are being proposed to replace our biology. So everything from artificial intelligence to chemicals in the blood, chips in the brain, sensors under the skin, all of this. So there is a battle for the way that we have been taught to think about ourselves. And that battle is fighting tooth and nail to hang on to what's called the standard model. So the standard model says that we're born into a dead universe, in a dead inert universe, Big Bang just happened to occur. Lucky physics is what it's called. And that we are the product of random genetic mutations. Lucky biology is what it's called. And that civilization began in a primitive state and evolved slowly, gradually over long periods of time. This is all part of the standard model that's being fought for. The problem, Alex, is that the data, as a scientist, I can look you and our viewers right in the eye, and I can tell you this straight up without any hesitation. The data doesn't support the standard model. The data now tells us that the universe appears to be alive. It functions as a living being. It makes intelligent decisions. When there's a star that's going to explode and can damage other star systems or other solar systems, they will change their course to avoid the energy that's coming from these exploding stars. And the Hubble Space Telescope and the James Webb Telescope were the first to actually capture these things happening. And if it was just once, it could be a fluke, but it was happening again and again and again. The universe appears to be a living entity, alive, conscious. Humans There is no physical evidence to support the theory of evolution as we are teaching in our schools, that we evolved from primitive, less evolved beings than we are. It's speculation, it's theory. And now the DNA studies are telling us that we appeared mysteriously about 200,000 years ago. We can extract the DNA from ancient forms of life now and compare their genome to ours, and it tells us we didn't descend from Neanderthal. We share DNA because we interbred with them. So we had Neanderthal boyfriends and girlfriends. And some people say they still do.
I was about to say, some people, there's many, I've met many of them, sir.
Yeah, well, I was at an event recently and I said that, and the woman on the front row, she made that comment. She said, I still do. And the guy next to her wasn't laughing. So I'm guessing that was probably, I was seeing it happen in real time. But so the point of all of this is the evidence doesn't support the Standard Model. The Standard Model keeps us feeling powerless and separate from our world and makes us vulnerable to other people's ideas of how we live our lives and what kind of a society is possible. When it comes to civilization itself, the same thing is happening. When I was in school, again, 50s, 60s, early 1970s, I was taught that civilization began in what's called the cradle of civilization, the Indus Valley, about 5,000 years ago, the Tigris-Euphrates Valley.
Right.
That idea has gone right out the window, but it's still being taught in the mainstream curriculum. We now know there was not a single cradle of civilization, but there were apparently 6 simultaneous cradles of civilization. Tigris-Euphrates was one of them. Egypt was one. There was one in Mesopotamia. There was one in China. One in northern Peru. It was called the Corral civilization. Mesoamerica was another one of those civilizations. And what's interesting is they all had similar technologies, and they all had the pyramidal technologies. They all had cosmologies that tell us things about our solar system and our Milky Way that we only rediscovered in the 20th century. And some of this stuff's thousands of years old. They had architecture, they had agriculture, they had mathematics. And so the question is, where did all of that come from? How did all of that happen? And as a scientist, what I have to say, honestly, when you look at the data and you look at the genetic manipulation that had to occur for us to be who we are, human chromosome number 2 is very well documented as being a chromosome that's a result of a fusion and genetic manipulation that cannot happen under natural circumstances. And it's responsible for our ability to have empathy and sympathy.
To watch the full video, click on the link below. And don't forget to subscribe.